Good morning, children. I welcome you all wholeheartedly for today's moral science session. Hope all are doing good and safe at home. As you know, we have been discussing our ninth lesson, self mastery, leading to success. Today, in this session, we will be discussing the concluding part of the lesson. In this lesson, we can see three steps that we have to follow in order to attain joy and happiness in our lives. The joy and happiness will be rewarded as a bright future. We have completed the first step, identify. We have to identify our faults and try to exchange them for positive qualities. We should listen to the corrections put before us by our well-wishers. Who are our well-wishers, children? Our parents, teachers, and good friends. Then what would be the result that created in our life? Yes, we can work on our faults, we can identify our faults, we became capable to make them smaller or make our faults smaller. We became alert for not repeating the mistakes again in our lives. So now let's move on to the second step. Step 2, rectify. What do you mean by rectify, children? It's given in your textbook itself. To rectify means to validate. I'll give you the meaning of rectify. Rectify means to approve, to accept, to agree. Then what do you mean by validate? Accept the truth. So what would be the second step, children? Yes, the second step is rectify. See, even great people and wise sages were born with faults. They were sensible enough to seek correction and act upon them. Their greatness rests on the fact that pride and obstinacy did not prevent them from accepting criticism. They had the courage to admit their faults and the determination to conquer them. So what's in this paragraph, children? I'll give you the explanation. Even great people, even great religious preachers, they all are born with the faults. But great people and wise sages, they have the sensitivity or they are sensible enough to find correction and act upon them. Their greatness rests on the fact that pride and obstinacy did not prevent them from accepting criticism. They are humble enough. They are not stubborn. Obstinacy means stubborn. Stubborn means difficult to change their opinion. So, the great people and wise sages, they are humble enough. They are simple enough. They are not stubborn. They are ready to accept their faults. They are ready to accept criticism. Did you get that? They had the courage to admit their faults. The great people, wise sages, they have the courage to admit their faults and they have the determination, they have the power of determination to attack upon their faults. Okay. To rectify means to validate. As I told you, what's the meaning of validate? Accept the truth. So, once we made aware of a certain fault through correction, we should take time to introspect, accept and validate the correction. So what do we have to do, children? See, once we were aware of our corrections, so we were aware of their faults. So what we have to do? We have to go through the correction. But we should take enough time or we should take enough time to validate the correction. We should take enough time to validate. Validate means we should take enough time to accept the correction. What's the meaning of introspect? And examine our thoughts and feelings. Examine our thoughts and feelings. That is what is introspect. So we should take time to examine our own thoughts and feelings. We should accept faults or we should validate the correction. We should accept the truth for the correction. Then there are two ways in which we can take in a correction. There are two ways. So let's see which are the two ways. Either we can be angry, sulk, maybe even decide never to talk to that person. Or we can put our ego aside and accept the correction in good spirit. When we accept corrections, we are acting to our advantage. We should never allow corrections to demotivate us. Our faults are pointed to us not because we are unsatisfactory persons, but because we are capable of better things. Okay, so let's see which are the two ways in which we can take in our corrections. The first one, we can be angry or we can be silent. Sulk means be silent. So we can be angry or we can be silent, or we may even decide never to talk to that person who pointed out our mistakes. Or we can put aside our ego and accept the correction in good spirit. So which is the second one, children? The second one, we can put aside our ego and we can accept the correction in a good spirit. So which one is the better one, children? The second one is the better one. So when we accept corrections, we are acting upon our knowledge. We should never allow corrections to demotivate us. You know what's the meaning of motivation, and its opposite is demotivate. So we should never allow corrections to demotivate us. We have to take it as a positive spirit. We have to take it, the corrections, in a good spirit. So do you know why do our faults are pointed to us by our parents or teachers, children? Because we are satisfactory persons. We are capable persons to do better things. That's why. So when we are a child, or when we are in our childhood, our parents, our teachers, our well-wishers pointed out our mistakes. For what, children? In order to make us a satisfactory person, in order to make us capable to do better things. Understood? So let's see an incident that happened in the legendary singer Shri K.J. Yesudas. We are very familiar with the legendary singer K.J. Yesudas. Let's see. The legendary singer K.J. Yesudas attributes his greatness to the corrections given to him by his father, Augustine Joseph Bhagavatar, who was also his first guru. Young Yesudas would put in hours of practice to please his father. After each excellent performance, he would yearn for a word of praise from his father. You could have done better, his father would say, and continue to point out a few minor faults. Yesudas admits that he was at first disappointed by his father's attitude, but later he realized that it was a kind of encouragement towards perfection. Yesudas found inspiration in his father's faith in him. Through hard work, he overcame his faults to become a celebrated musician. So what's in this paragraph, children? Yes, the legendary singer K.J. Yesudas. He attributes to his greatness to the corrections given to him by his father. So who was his father? Augustine Joseph Bhagavatar, who was his first guru, Yesudas' first guru, and at the same time his father, Augustine Joseph Bhagavatar. Augustine Joseph Bhagavatar. He asked him to practice for hours. Young Yesudas would put in hours of practice to please his father in order to make his father happy. He would take practices for long hours. After each practices, he would yearn for a word of praise from his father. What do you mean by that sentence? After each performance, he would yearn, he would long for he wished for a word of praise from his father. He thought that his father would praise him. Well done, boy, well done, but never. What was his reply? His father's reply: you could have done better. His father would say, you could have done better. And he continued to point out a few minor mistakes from the part of young Yesudas. So first of all, Yesudas, he was very disappointed by his father's attitude. But later, when he had grown up, he realized that it was a kind of encouragement towards perfection. Did you get the story, children? When he has grown up, Yesudas, he realized that it was a kind of encouragement from the part of his parent or from the part of his father towards perfection. He wanted to make his son, Augustine Joseph Bhagavatar, he wanted to make his son an excellent one. So what did he do? Again and again he asked him to practice. After each practice, young Yesudas would yearn for a word of praise from his father. But what was the reply, or what was the response of his father? You could have done better. After each performance, what was the reply given by his father? You could have done better. So later, Yesudas realized that it was a kind of encouragement towards perfection. So Yesudas found inspiration in his father's faith in him. Through hard work, he overcame his faults to become a celebrated musician. At last, he became a renowned, a very famous, legendary singer. So, he realized his mistakes that's pointed out by his father. So he found inspiration in his father's faith. So through hard work, he became a celebrated musician. Okay, children. So there is an exercise for you. What can you do? To reflect on the corrections you have written earlier, are they valid? Do you feel you should accept those corrections to strengthen your character? If yes, make a decision. So if you are ready to correct your character, if yes, make a decision to accept these corrections in good spirit. So I dash the need to make some corrections in my life. I accept or I do not accept. Which one is correct? Very simple. What is the answer? I accept the need to make some corrections in my life. So you have to write there accept. That's the correct one. So if you are ready to correct, or if you are ready to strengthen your character, or if you are ready to accept the corrections to strengthen your character, you can make a decision and you can write there I accept the need to make some corrections in my life. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. Step number 3. Rectify. Rectify. What do you mean by rectify, children? Rectify means correct. Rectify means correct. So another great personality, Sachin Tendulkar, Indian cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar. So let's see what's happened in his life. So, Indian cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar has always acknowledged that his skills on the pitch were made perfect by his disciplinarian coach Sri Agragar. His coach never allowed any compromise in the matter of practice. Tendulkar found motivation in this kind of tough training. He recalls a time when Agragar was angry with him for skipping a scheduled practice session. Young Sachin had missed the session to be at Vanishade Stadium to cheer his school playing in a final. Vanishade, not Vanishade children, Vanishade. So this is how Sachin described the episode. When we were leaving the stadium, my friend and I saw Sir near the dressing room. We thought of greeting him, but he was angry and produced his famous late cut on my cheek. I had a tiffin box in my hand and it flew in typical Hindi movie style and juggled to catch it. It was then that he told me, if you concentrate on your game, one day others will come and clap for you. I think that was the defining moment of my cricket career. Tendulkar realized that his trainer wanted the best out of him. Out of this realization, a cricketing legend was born. So what is going on there, children? See, here it is, children. Yes, the Indian cricket legend. There is a correction in this slide, children. Yes. Sorry, children. So, Indian cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar, he has always acknowledged that his skill on the path were made by perfect. So, his skill on the pitch were made perfect by his disciplinarian coach. Do you know who was his coach, children? Yes, Sri Agragar. He was very strict disciplinarian coach. So, Indian cricket legend, he realized that his skill on the pitch were made perfect by his strict teacher Sri Agragar. His coach never allowed any compromise in the matter of practice. He never allowed any compromise. So, Sachin found motivation in this kind of tough training. There was a tough training when he was under the guidance of his coach Sri Agragar. So he recalls an incident when Agragar was angry with him for skipping a scheduled practice session. So when Sachin Tendulkar was young, what did he do, children? Yes, he skipped a scheduled practice session. He was not attending, or he did not attend a scheduled practice session. So what did he do, children? Instead of attending the scheduled practice session, what did he do? Yes, he had gone to the stadium. What's the name of the stadium, children? Vanishade Stadium, to cheer his school playing in a final. So the school, he had attended a final program. So he wanted to cheer his school for playing in a final. So this is how Sachin described this episode like this. See, when we were leaving the stadium, my friend and I saw near the dressing room. So what happened to them, children? So when they were leaving the stadium, which stadium? When they were leaving the stadium, after cheering his school playing in a final, he had seen his sir Agragar, Sri Agragar. He was standing there near the dressing room. They thought of greeting him, but he was very angry. What's the reason, children? Because Sachin Tendulkar did not attend the practice. He missed the practice. So, what happened to him, children? Yes, he was very angry. His teacher was very angry, and he produced his famous late cut on my cheek. So, what happened? He slapped at him on his cheek. Then, that time, Sachin had a tiffin box with his hand. It flew in typical Hindi movie style. So he had to jiggle. So J-U-G-G-L-A-D. What's the meaning of jiggle, children? Balance. So he had to balance to catch it because the hit was that much powerful. What happened to his tiffin box? The tiffin box, it flew in typical Hindi movie style and he had to balance properly to catch it. So it was then his teacher told him something. What was it, children? Yes, his teacher told him, if you concentrate on your own game, one day others will come and clap for you. I think that was the defining moment of my cricket career. So have you noticed that, Sana children? His teacher says, if you concentrate on your game, one day others will come and clap for you. So that is what is the defining moment. That is what is the very important moment in his cricket career. So Tendulkar realized that the trainer wanted the best out of him. His teacher wanted the best out of him. So out of this realization, a cricket legend was born. That is what is the great Sachin Tendulkar. Okay, then there is an advice for you, children. Merely listening to correction or realizing our fault will not make us better persons, although it's half the way being to one. It's only by working on rectifying our faults and transforming them into positive qualities can we truly attain good character. For example, if one of our faults is tardiness or the lack of punctuality, it's not enough to be just aware of our weakness. We have to work out a plan to overcome this fault by consciously taking decisions to reach at least 15 minutes ahead of any scheduled appointment. Children, this paragraph is very important. You have to read it thoroughly. So, what is the first sentence? Just listening to the corrections or just realize our faults will not make us a better person. Even if it is the halfway being to be one, or even if it is the halfway, or even if it's the way half, or the way half the way to being one means even if it is the halfway to being one person a better person, but the main point is remaining there. That is what is, we have to rectify our faults, we have to correct our faults, and we want to transform them from negative to positive. Then only we can attain good character. So how can we attain good character, children? We have to rectify our mistakes. We have to transform our negative qualities to positive qualities. Then only we can attain true character or good character. For example, see, we all have the habit of being not punctual for anything. See, if one of our fault is tardiness, what do you mean by tardiness? A lack of punctuality. All of us have the lack of punctuality. So, it is not enough to be just aware of a weakness. Yes, I have a weakness. I am not punctual. But what we have to do, children? We have to work out a plan to overcome this fault. So, we have to overcome this fault. We have to overcome the lack of punctuality. So, what should we do? We have to take firm decisions. We have to take determinations to reach at least 15 minutes ahead of any scheduled appointment. That is what is, we want to work out a plan to overcome this fault. We have to take a firm decision to reach at least 15 minutes ahead of any scheduled appointment. Hope you understood, children. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, children. See, there is a correction. As I told you, the slide has been twisted. So, what can you do? So, how can you rectify the constant corrections put forth to you? It's an assignment for you children. You have to write down 3 decisions you have to take or you can take to work on the corrections you wrote earlier. So in the last class I have given you one assignment. All of you have done well. So now you have to write 3 decisions that you have to take in order to correct the habit that you have written earlier or the correction. See, here it is. I ask you to identify a few constant corrections put forth by the aforementioned group, your teachers, your parents, your loving friends. See, so you have to that class. In the last class I asked you to write the constant corrections put forward by your parents or teachers. Then in this column or in this space, the space provided for you, so there you have to write 3 decisions that you have to take in order to change your or in order to transform your negative qualities to positive qualities. Then you have to take a decision to act strongly on these decisions. You have to work upon it. Then you have to overcome. Then you can overcome this fault. Okay. So let's move to a concluding portion. If we show enough humility to accept our faults and make cheerful attempts to overcome them, we will be blessed with joy and happiness. Such attempts are in fact great investments that will ultimately reward us with a bright future, children. This one is also a very, very good sentence. 2 sentences are there, children. You can imbibe this in your life itself, children. See, I'll explain to you. If you show enough respect to accept your faults, if you show enough humility to accept your faults, and if you show enough time or if you take enough time to make cheerful attempts to overcome them, then we will be blessed with joy and happiness. Understood, children? If we show enough respect or if we show enough concern to accept our faults and make cheerful attempts or make cheerful trials to overcome them, then we will be blessed with joy and happiness. And such attempts, such trials are great investments that it will ultimately reward us with a bright future life. So what we have to do, children? First of all, we have to accept our faults. Then we have to work upon it. Then we have to work upon it means then we have to make cheerful trials to overcome them. As I told you one example, the lack of punctuality. So first of all, we have to accept our fault. Yes, I have a weakness. That is what is. I want to overcome it. So we have to work out a plan to overcome this fault. Then such attempts are in fact great investments for our future life. Ultimately or finally, it will reward us a bright future, joyful life. See how we see in the proverb? It's an unknown one. Listen to advice, accept correction, then in the end you will be wise. Did you get the sentence, children? Listen to advice. Listen to the advice given by your parents, given by your teachers, given by your relatives. Accept the correction. What do you mean by accept the correction? Rectify, R-A-T-I-F-Y, rectify the correction. Then in the end or when you have grown up, you will be wise. Did you get the proverb, children? You have to write it in your notebook, children. Listen to advice, accept correction, then in the end you will be wise. Children, I hope you understood the lesson. If there is any doubt, you can call me at any time, children. As usual, there is an assignment for you. I write the assignments neatly and send it to me. Okay, thank you, children. Have a nice day.